Alright, you could call this a top or a review or whatever. I'm just going through all the James Bond stuff that I've played and then saying what I like and dislike about it. Mostly because there's just that many of the games, and I feel like that's kind of one of my little things here is the James Bond series. Actually, before I start, I should probably go over what exactly I'll be looking for when I'm looking through these games. And that's going to be the single player part, the multiplayer part, its diversity in guns and characters, and just really overall fan service and or experiences.
Tell me, Mr. Bond, give me one reason I shouldn't press this button and bring my men up here to use that tuxedo for target practice.
Alright, so at the bottom of my list is going to be GoldenEye for the Wii, and that's because it's the one I dislike the least. Before I go any further, I will say yes, I probably still will LP the game, but it's definitely my least favorite game. So for starters, the single player is like very long-winded, it's trying to be super gritty, it's, trying to be fan service to the N64 hit, but it's not the same. For starters, they're two different companies that made the game, so you're not going to get the same result. Honestly, I don't really like the single player, because 90% of the time, I didn't know where the fuck I was going. I'm not counting that little marker thing, because yeah, that tells you where to go, but you still can't see where the fuck anything is, because everything either like blends in or is super dark or something, so the environments aren't necessarily easy to read. It also doesn't feel like James Bond. It's not a James Bond game. It's Call of Duty that tries to act serious and wants to have Metal Gear elements, where it takes stealth super seriously, and you have regenerative health and all these other things that aren't native to James Bond. It's Call of Duty. Now, unfortunately, I don't really have much to say about the multiplayer experience because I didn't really get to play it much. The only way I even got to test out and get some footage for you was by hooking up another controller and just having a dead character while I looked around and understood the environment. It's got online, but no one really plays it, and then when they play it, you're playing it for 10 seconds before they fucking quit because everybody's a candy-ass bitch. But that aside, I don't really have anything to say about the multiplayer. Actually, no, one huge criticism, there's just two guns. That's it. Pick two guns, enjoy. The most diversity you get is if you kill someone, you can take one of their two guns. But it doesn't matter, because all the guns are the fucking same in the goddamn game. It's Machine Guns, the game. As far as the multiplayer character selection, it's got somewhat of fan service, like Red Grant and Rosa Klebb and Blowfold, Scaramanga, Oddjob, Jaws, the characters from this game, and then all the other 3D models that they just decided to throw in it because, yeah, I mean, remember that character's like... I'm kind of nitpicking here, but I do dislike the fact that they chose to put Daniel Craig in it because it's not what it's supposed to be. I mean, yeah, Daniel Craig's our James Bond as of this moment. That's cool. But if there's anything From Russia With Love has taught me, it's that you don't need to go with what's modern to make it work. You very well could have tried contacting Pierce Brosnan, modeled after his image. That's an easy one. You could have maybe gotten his voice actor, or, someone that sounded like him, or something that was legitimate and stayed true to the film.
In the meantime, you can enjoy the view.
I already am.
Next on the list is going to be Agent Under Fire, and I hate to say it, but this is probably going to be the one on this list that I don't ever LP. And the reason for that is because I don't have the patience to play through it enough to beat it. For one huge problematic factor, lives system. You have only 3 tries. You don't get it in 3 tries? Sucks to be you. Do the entire level all over again. The game just feels kind of bad. Like, it's very cheesy, so it's the kind of bad that you can laugh at. Like, all the dialogue sounds like something written in a fucking Saturday morning cartoon. I also don't like the fact that the controls feel super greasy and slippery, so it feels like when you're controlling James Bond, he's a thing of melted butter swirling around a skillet. So that doesn't really make matters much easier. And when you're trying to shoot enemies, a lot of the times it'll take a lot of effort because they're like, you'll shoot it, but it doesn't always register, and it'll just take a long time. They feel like they got a lot of a nod to old arcade rail shooters, which is kind of cool, but I don't like having a white flash eclipse over my screen every third of a second. That gets pretty annoying and will probably give me epilepsy one day. The multiplayer, I won't lie, it was fun, but for the wrong reasons. It was fun because you realize just how fucking goofy and laughable it really was. You can go ahead and look. It's not edited any way to make the game look worse. A lot of the times you will shoot these people and it just doesn't fucking matter. And then the physics on it is really weird and it just is kind of overall glitchy. But I had fun. I just don't think I would ever do it again. Their little character selection was non-existent. It was just the characters from the game. That's it. The levels were okay, I guess. The weapons were pretty good. A lot of the weapons in the game felt kind of sci-fi-ish, if you want my opinion. I don't know. It's like, yeah, this one could also, I feel like, be argued, hey, there's a lot of machine guns in that one too. But these ones feel kind of more like Perfect Dark and kind of sci-fi-ish, where it's like, yeah, they do the same thing, but they all sound and look kind of unique, even though they provide the same result. So it feels different in that way. Alright, this one's gonna give me a lot of hatred, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it because it's my opinion. GoldenEye 64, it was 20 years ago. It hasn't necessarily aged the best. I have some fun memories with it, sure, but that's it. A lot of the reason people love this game is just because it was innovative. Totally fine, I get that. It did a lot of things right, but that's about where it ends. The single player is the thing where it's really quick, simple, and I feel like it set up a lot of the standard formula of what it should be, and that's totally chill. But there's 4 levels in the game that are absolutely terrible that I just can't stand and ruin the game for me. Number 1, the control. Next level, the train. Level number 3, the jungle. Reason number 4, the statue. Was it a bad level? Not entirely, but the fact that you need to talk to Yanis without your gun was not a thing my 14-year-old mind understood. I was just like, why would a game understand the fact that I have a gun out and am pointing it at him? That's not a thing that I thought it should process, but it did. I'm pretty sure it does tell you that in the objectives, but it still annoyed the living shit out of me. The multiplayer, a lot of people give a lot of hype to. I don't. Here's the reason. 1, no AI. So, right there it's just you and one other person. Unless you have more friends, then maybe you'll have fun. But the problem with playing with friends and shit like that is screen peeking the video game. It's not fun. Next to that was the fact that all of the guns in the game, all of the multiplayer modes, just had 3 guns. PP7, fucking, what was it? The Soviet, and then whatever that gun mode was. So we have PP7 Soviet Golden Gun, PP7 Soviet Magnum, PP7 Soviet Moonraker Laser. Do you see how that's not diverse or fun or interesting? It's just, hey, change one gun, new mode. That's it. Done. The character selection is, yeah. Like, sure, they've got all the GoldenEye important characters. That's cool. And then if you unlock, which I don't even know how the fuck you do it legitimately, I inputted a cheat and it just kind of perma-stayed there. You can have things like Jaws, Oddjob, Mayday, which is kind of cool. But then you also have every single person on the entire development staff.
Goldfinger, do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to die.
Now, I imagine the fact that I put GoldenEye 64 so low is what's going to really get me killed, because there's a bunch of games a lot of people don't like that I've already put higher. For instance, 007 Legends. Here's one primary reason why I put it up this high. There's only one mission in the entire game that really annoys the fuck out of me. There's another part in the game that really annoys the fuck out of me, but that's not the entire level. That's like the one part of that level. And that would be the skiing part in a hunt on Her Majesty's Secret Service, just because overall it's designed bad. All you had to do was fucking design it the same way World's Not Enough was, and you're fine. But Activision decided they had to be different, and they had to fuck it up. But the single player was fun. I enjoyed it. A lot of people criticize it because they said, oh, the story's shit. There's no real story. Don't think of it that way. Just think of it as, hey, let's play Goldfinger. Hey, let's play Her Majesty's Secret Service. Hey, let's play Moonraker. And leave it at that. And it's a much better experience. However, the problem with that was the fact that there's not really enough depth or interest to really capture you into it. It just throws you at the end of the movie. And that's kind of where it sucks. It's like, hey, here's the climax, here's the ending, bye. It was also a large improvement over GoldenEye Wii. It was playable. There's one reason. Number two was the fact that the stealth in the game was, although a little bit stricter, in terms of if you don't stealth, you fail, it at least gave you a better understanding of the stealth. It wasn't just, hey, noise, this happened. It's like, here's how much of fuck you are in. And it worked. They also included an upgrade system, which was pretty nice, especially since it seems to carry over regardless. So if you restart your game, you keep those upgrades. I like that. You can upgrade your fucking body armor, your ability to reload, your guns themselves. You can get like custom parts for it that make it better. I like that. That's a good feature. That was interesting to me, and I was totally okay with it. It also wasn't necessarily good in the gun department, but it didn't really bother me for some reason. I don't know, because it was like, hey, here's 5 guns in the game. That's about it. But it felt better because they were honest about the fact that they didn't bother trying. Another thing that does kind of annoy me, which again, I kind of wish I remembered the films, but it seems like every mission you do, someone's tagging along and being the Navi to your Link, and that's kind of annoying. I just want to play the game. I don't want to have to fucking babysit you. Go away, let me James Bond. That's all I really want to it. So yeah, there's really a lot to say about the single player, but that's because I don't fucking know what the multiplayer is. I don't really have a way to demo it out by myself. It has online, but no one fucking has the game and is playing it. I don't necessarily blame them, but still, there's no real input I can say on it. I like that the fucking character selection for it is like GoldenEye Wii, but with some extra stuff. Like Max Zorin, that was pretty cool. And it also made sense because Legends was meant to be a tribute to the franchise. It seemed like they decided that, hey, GoldenEye Wii sucked. Let's try actually giving a shit about our product for a change.
Have you a vengeance against Dr. No?
And reclaim what he took from you. The rewards will be great.
An eye for an eye.
This is probably where the shit's gonna hit the fan for a lot of people. But honestly, and it's mostly because I played Red Steel, but I liked GoldenEye Rogue Agent. Here's the biggest complaint people have with it. It uses the name GoldenEye. That's it. Other words, I don't really think there's anything wrong with it other than the fact that it's kind of fanficky, which, you know, I could understand how that could be a turnoff, but it wasn't obvious to me until really I sat down and thought about it. The main gimmick with the game is the fact that you can always hold 2 guns. That's fine with me. I like it. It's fun, but it's hard. The hard part is the last level, when everyone has a gun that can kill you in a single shot. So that's about it. But other than that, I'd say it's pretty fun, pretty hard. You know, it's good. For starters, they went kind of the extra mile, and unlike Activision, got people that were actually from the films in the game, like M. You know, the woman M. And then they got Scaramanga to voice himself, and they bothered building the characters off of their counterparts that they were based off of. So guess what? Zaina, she's based off fucking the girl, I don't remember her name, from the film GoldenEye. Oddjob, based off that little Asian dude from Goldfinger. They also give you superpowers, which it makes sense because they explain why it is. You're named GoldenEye because you have a golden eye. That little golden eye is a little thingy that can fucking hack things, let you see through walls, can provide a shield, and can throw people across the fucking room like a goddamn ragdoll. But being with this, you also, get to do things the normal James Bond wouldn't get to do, like take hostages. You also get the ability to play with booby traps, which is really cool. I love that. And it's a thing that I kind of wish more James Bond games did. I understand kind of why, because it seems more like an anti-hero move than a hero move, and that makes sense. But it's still such a cool thing that they played around with. The multiplayer is good, but it's missing things like AI. Just because when it's just me and my brother, it's not fun to just be me and him. I want to fuck with other people, and that's really what bugs me about a lot of these things. I understand that other people have friends, but I just have a brother. Now what makes it kind of cool is the fact of all the levels in that multiplayer are huge nods to other James Bond stuff, like the Golden Gate Bridge from A View to a Kill, Scaramanga's Playhouse from The Man with the Golden Gun, shit like that. All of the weapons in that game are super cool, pretty sci-fi based, and unique and original. Nothing feels repetitive or unneeded.
The first bullet won't kill you, nor the second, not even the third. Not until you get over here and kiss my foot.
Tell me, which lunatic asylum did they get you out of?
Now this one, to me, and should you guys, make sense. From Russia with Love. For starters, it's a huge tribute to the film, done with the most care and timeliness and everything. And From Russia with Love, they understand that it was taking place in the fucking 60s, so they stuck with it. And it worked. Guess what else? They got Sean Connery to voice the character and to exist. It was based around him, his face, his body, that shit. And you guys probably have seen my LP because it's recent. From Russia with Love. The single player is awesome. I love it. The multiplayer is just because, yet again, limited to 2 people and there's really not much interesting going on. I don't even remember the damn characters in the multiplayer, I just remember them not being anything interesting. I think Red Grant's probably about as interesting as it gets in that game. They also included the whole upgrade system kind of like Legends did, except in, I'm going to say, a more constructive way. Because Legends just kind of seemed, hey, spot this in the middle of a level, and it didn't really make too much sense as to where this was like, do this thing, get these points, upgrade at the end of the level, and it made more sense. So I like it I like it like that. There's also the fact that the gameplay, despite being a huge change from the others, it works perfectly. There's no flaws with the way the game handles. Like, you can hide behind cover, crouch, do all that shit that looks flashy and you'd want to do, and it plays perfectly. You'd think that it would throw you off, but it doesn't. And the guns in there are each different and unique. So, yeah, you got 2 machine guns. Guess what? One's super fast, the other one's kind of slower and a little bit more powerful. I mean, yeah, it's kind of limited in its choices, but I think they covered the bases of what each gun is that's different. And I think that works.
Expecting Davidoff? He caught a bullet instead of a plane. You can't kill me. I'm already dead. Not dead enough for me.
This one could be argued pandering to nostalgia, but I honestly think there's a good merit and reason behind why I feel the way I feel. The world's not enough. Firstly, the single player is great. I can't really say anything is wrong with it, or any level is really particularly terrible. It's all fine. The only real downside is the very last level is kind of boring at best. But other than that, there's really nothing wrong with it. The multiplayer It has AI. You can play with your brother and friend, and guess what? You don't have to fucking screen peek because you can kill the computer as well. The weapons in the game, very diverse, and in the multiplayer, there's more than just a few. They also have weapon modes where you can have automatics and explosives. But weirdly, the best thing to do is to have it set to standard, just because you're more likely to get a diverse selection of weapons that way. And the characters in the game, they include the classic stuff like Oddjob, Jaws, Scaramanga, and then the contemporary stuff like Mayday, Zorin, and Trevlin. They also include literally every 3D model in the game, which, although that sounds incredibly unnecessary and tedious, I think it's hilarious, because who wouldn't want to play as Electra wearing a pair of fucking skis? Overall, I think it's a good tribute. I think they set up things in a good way. I think everything's diverse enough and just works. Like, I can't see anything that there is to complain about.
Goodbye, Dominique. Use the helipad and take care of the body. No! It's futile, Mr. Bond. You've seen too much of my operation to live, but I wanted you to enjoy this moment first.
Now, if referring to your feelings as a 14-year-old kid when you're 23 counts as pandering to nostalgia, then I guess so be it. But I still feel like there's merit to the reasons behind this. But my favorite of all of them would have to be Nightfire. Reason being, a huge difference between Nightfire and Agent Under Fire. Nightfire's charming, Agent Under Fire is cheesy. So yes, while they make the same kind of weird jokes, one seems more like it's a... like if that guy were to hit on you in a bar, you'd laugh and giggle and not throw your drink in his face. The single player in the game is really good. The only real downside I have to it is the fact that it's so short. The first level's kind of meh, the second level's good, the third and fourth are boring, I'm gonna say, and then it gets good again. So yes, it's not without flaws, but it's not a flaw that makes you hate the game. It's just like, oh, that's not nearly as exciting. But the things that are exciting shine so much brighter and do it so much better. And it's a tribute that's done very well. In terms of the characters, it's got literally no one you don't care about. Everybody in the game, and then there's the classic and contemporary people that actually matter. One of my favorite characters that never gets any love, which I thought was hilarious, was Knick Knack. I just think that that's hilarious that he's in the game. And also, I love the fact that if you're playing as Oddjob, you can throw your hat as him. And it's always great to be playing multiplayer and just get hit in the head with his fucking hat out of nowhere. I'd also like to point out, the game doesn't necessarily take itself too seriously. It looks great, but you remember how I was complaining about the stealth thing in the fucking Activision games? Well, go ahead and look at what stealth is like in this game.
We've got an intruder!
Going on to the multiplayer, which is really probably the bulk of my feelings, is the fact that you can play with up to 10 characters. Assuming you have 3 friends, then you can have 4 humans and then 6 AI. And all the characters are good. All the weapons are good. They're all different. One of my favorite weapons is the fucking trip bomb. It's great and hilarious. And you can put it on an item randomizer, so no gun starts out the same. So yes, you can set your mode to explosives, automatic, close combat, or something. Or you can just put it on random, and then just start the fucking mode with a golden gun and a grenade launcher. Or something crazy like that. And that's what makes it good. There's also the fact that the multiplayer has fucking turrets. Like, you know, one that shoots a laser beam that explodes. A grenade launcher. A machine gun. Like, it's great, and there's really not much to complain about. There's also the idea that they give you little vehicle weapons to fuck around with, so if you want, you can hang around at your base and then send a helicopter out there to go do all your dirty work for you. Or a fucking tank. So yes, I think that this game is the best, and I think that those are perfectly good reasons for thinking it. I also don't think that they've done anything that, well, obviously, tops it quite like it. If they could mimic what they did with Nightfire into a modern game, I think we might have a winner. Now, I know there are some things that I missed and didn't get the chance to say, but I also know that literally every fucking part of this recording has been up to like 5 minutes, and I've recorded about 11 parts. So I'm going to have a fun time trying to edit this down into as short as possible. So yeah, I've missed some things, there's some things I didn't cover on, but I think that at least when I form this kind of, I'm going to say argument, top 10, whatever the hell, I'm basing it off of things that make sense and aren't trying to pander to nostalgia. It's saying, here's this game's strengths and weaknesses under these categories. And I think I did a decent job. I mean, yes, some things didn't get explained too much, and you could say that I didn't complain about certain things. And if I didn't complain about certain things or praise certain things, it's because I couldn't find anything to complain or praise, and that's why I didn't do it. So that's my input. You can go ahead and throw in your own 2 cents. By no means am I really saying any of the games are bad, but that's just the way I would view my favorites in the series. Alright, so there you go. Go ahead and say whatever you want if you want to. I'm out of here, Jace4R.